Beard.
Beard.
Come on, Ghost.
Beard. Ghost. Beard.
Beard the pirate.
Or better known as Run! Ghost Beard.
The pirate still lives centuries after his death.
Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, and gremlins. It's your boy Ghostbeard, got a ghost of CIA agents, back with another One Piece video. You guys wouldn't believe it, but the best Garp list has gotten even better. I'm super excited to share this with you all, as this is the deck I'll be running in the upcoming tournament hosted by the makers of the sim. It's happening this Friday, March 31st. So I wanted to release this ahead of time so it gives you guys a chance to try it out and make whatever changes you want. And I definitely want to thank you all for your patience. There were just so many cards to test, so many deck cores to try, so many philosophies to test. I really did go through everything, and this is ultimately what I ended up on. Now, before we get to the list, one thing that really helped me with making this deck was analyzing data from the regionals that happened. And I looked at the top 8 decks from the different regionals, and I compiled data on how many blockers, searchers, counters, rush, events, and black removal cards they were running in their deck. This really allowed me to see if my deck was at least in similar parameters to winning decks. So I'll go ahead and leave a link to that spreadsheet in the bottom so you guys can check that out. Special thanks to my student KidBot. I made the data, but he's the one that made it look presentable, which, by the way, if you guys want coaching on Garp or just One Piece in general, feel free to message me. And also special thanks to a couple other Garp warriors who helped me, just bouncing back ideas back and forth or with testing. And I'll show you guys here. Shouts out to you all. But all right, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, y'all. So here we are back with the follow-up to the best Garp list. And let's go ahead and just jump right into it. I don't want to waste any time. I know y'all been waiting on this one. So here we have Garp. If you're not familiar with him, every time you attach a Dawn to the leader or one of your characters, you will reduce by 1 the cost of one of your opponent's characters that are cost 7 or less. So this is a pretty powerful ability, especially with just how strong black removal is. And what I mean by that is just black as an archetype has a lot of cards that destroy enemy cards based on their cost. So with how easy it is for us to manipulate cost, you can see where the potential is here. But let's jump into the first card here. We have 1 drop, 2k counter Suru. And what she does is, outside of being a great 2k counter, is give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. I really just use her whenever I need to combo with Kobe, or Meteor Volcano against like an 8 or a 9 drop. So I really rarely play her, but she definitely comes in clutch as a counter pretty often. Next up we have Chopper, 1 cost blocker. He was the last addition to the deck. And the reason is just because in this meta, he just gets wrecked by literally every deck. Like red, they're gonna drop Vista, they're gonna drop Nami. Green, they're gonna rest him. It's just not looking good for Chopper this season. So it took me a long time to add him, but the reason why I did add him back is because I realized, you just gotta kind of adjust how you play him. I try to save him for end game when, both card hands are pretty low. They've used up a majority of their removal, and it should be pretty safe to play him. And if I do play him early, I definitely never let him sit longer than 1 swing. Whatever that first swing is coming after I play him, I'm blocking, because I don't want to give them a chance to just remove him. So moving on. Next up we have Nami. 1 cost, 1000 power, and her ability is to search for a Straw Hat card. And she was an interesting addition to the deck because if you look at the spreadsheet I made, no competitive deck was not running search. The highest that I saw without any search power was 5th place, Z, and that's just not good enough. So that just shows me that, if you're not running counter power, you're not going to be competitive. And so I had to really adjust my deck to include the Straw Hat package to really make the most use out of Nami. Oh, but one thing with Nami before I go to Sunny-kun, try to be careful when you use her. Don't just play her every chance you get. Try to save her for when you actually need her, because since she can only search for Straw Hats, she's gonna send any non-Straw Hat card to the bottom of your deck, and sometimes you be needing them cards, so just be careful. Alright, next up we have Sunny-kun. Um, I like him. He's a great opener on turn 1. I like to start by going first. So if I see him turn 1, I feel great because he's super aggressive. I try not to play him in late game just because he feels a lot weaker. Unless I'm playing against a deck that is also running low beast, then it should be fine. But I just run 2 of him because I'm running 2 of his big brother a little bit later down the line. Alright, next up we have 2 cost, 2000 power, counter, Garp. This guy is really strong. His ability is to KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. And again, when you combo with our leader ability, that allows us to basically freely manipulate cost. It's very easy to get people to that 0 margin. The problem is, he has the same problems as Chopper. He's just so susceptible to so many different types of removal that you really never want to play him early. I try to save him for the late game as well after they've used all of their removal. Um, Sometimes though, if I'm going second, I do play him first, just because I want to force them to have the card in hand in order to remove him. Like either you have it or you don't. If you have it, alright, I'll take the L, but if you don't have it, then I'm up. So that's a gamble. If you want to take it, go for it. Alright, next up we have 3 cost, 2000 counter power, Monkey D. Luffy. This card is really interesting. I was looking for more 2k counters for Straw Hats because, you know, I just need to take advantage of Nami Search. And I just didn't like Usopp. Um I didn't like Sanji. And I did like Brook, but I just feel like this card is so much better than Brook because Brook, yeah, he's kind of free to play, but he's just not really as threatening as this card. This card's ability, when I attach 2 Dawn to him, he gets an extra 2000 power. So for 2 Dawn, this is a 7000 swing, which is very threatening. Next up, we have Kobe. Kobe is he is the only black removal, and by that I mean trash to KO. He's the only one of those cards that I'm running. I was running 5 cost Garp, but as I continued to work on this deck, and especially after I added Nami, it just felt like it wasn't worth it to run him anymore. So I just rock out with Kobe's, and I try to hold on to him until I really need him, especially since I know I only have 4 of him, and that's it. Next up we have Uta. This was a really interesting addition to the deck, and I've not seen any Garp list running her. But the reason why I run her is because Garp's main issue is hand size. Like, I burn through my hand so quickly because, you know, we have cards like Kobe that require me to trash a card. We have cards like Meteor Volcano that is removal, but it's not a body, so I just like took a card out of my hand without putting anything. So my hand size, you know, goes down pretty quickly. She definitely helps a lot to fix that issue because she's gonna return up to 1 red character other than herself. That's 3 cost or less from the trash to your hand. So this ability is just so versatile. I can play Kobe, trash a card, and then pick it right back up by playing Uta. So basically I got to play Kobe for free. Or if I want to, I need more counter power, I can pick up, you know, 3 cost Luffy, I can pick up a blocker in Chopper, I can pick up a Zoro if I want to be more aggressive. So she's just very versatile. I would consider running her at 3. I just don't know who I would cut to make that happen. Maybe a jet pistol. I don't know. We'll see. But 2 is safe because you never really want to see too many of her in your hand. And when you do see her, you're going to want to try and play her as soon as you can because it just sucks to have her, you know, chilling in your hand and then you lose. Alright, next up we have Zoro, 3 cost rush. This guy is basically the offensive part of this deck. I just spam him as much as possible. Drop him every chance I get, unless I really just don't have the space to do so. Or I can just resurrect him again with Uta and just spam the same Zoro that you already killed. This guy is really strong. I don't really have anything else to say about him, but yeah. Next up we have Borsalino. This guy, as far as blockers, I said in the last video, he's definitely the strongest blocker in this set. His ability to not be KO'd by any effect is already extremely powerful, but when you add on to that, you know, him getting an extra 1,000 power on opponent's turn, he's just borderline broken, because the earlier you play him, his value just continues to increase. And the reason why that is because every time they want to swing on you, they can no longer swing you for 5. I mean, they can, but you know, it's just gonna get blocked by Borsalino for free since he's at 6,000 power. So they're gonna have to invest an extra Dawn to swing on you every single time, and that adds up as turns progress. He's also a 1,000 counter power, which is pretty useful sometimes. Next up, we have 4 cost 1,000 counter power Frankie. He's just a vanilla, which means that he doesn't have any effect. He's just somebody I play on the board to hit you really hard, and that's about it. I run him at 2 because I run Sunny Kun for early game, and then I run Frankie for mid to late game. Alright, next up we have Monkey D. Luffy, the 5 cost Rush version. And this card is really good just because, again, Rush is more, you know, more aggro power. But his ability to swing over blockers when you attach 2 Dawn really just makes this guy the ultimate game ender. So how I play him is if I see him pretty early in the game, I'm gonna just rush you down to 0 life as quickly as I can, just so I can play him and then end the game. Um, Sometimes I don't really have runway to play him just because there's so many threats on board, but just try and hold on to this guy until the end, and I promise it'll be worth it. Next up, we have 5 cost Smoker, and I'm not gonna lie, I was not really a fan of this card for a little bit because I just kept running into having too many of him in hand, but you know, skill issue or whatever. So I found that running him at 2 is really nice because his ability to not be KO'd by effects, but then also with the Dawn be able to double attack if there's a cost of 0. He just helps me close out games so much and so easily because kind of similar to Luffy, if I get you to 0 life, I'm just gonna play him and end the game right there. If I get you down to your 2 life, your last 2 life with Smoker, I'm gonna drop him, have him do the double attack so he can get those last 2 life, and then swing for myself or drop a rush card to end the game. Super powerful combo. But yeah, 2 is an appropriate amount. Any more than that kind of feels bad. Next up we have Meteor Volcano. For a long time, this was the only event that I was running. What it allows you to do is KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less, and if you trigger it by drawing it from life, you draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. Both of those abilities are extremely helpful, and depending on the situation, I might trigger the trigger to get more counter power, or I just might hold on to it to KO some threats. Next up, we have Jet Pistol. This is the event card in red as far as removal goes. If you hit this out of life, it's like hitting the lottery sometimes. That can win the game itself. Uh, and for a long time, I was only running Meteor Volcano, but I decided to add Jet Pistol because it's actually really strong against Borsalino. And I found that out because I kept losing by swinging. They would hit it out of life, and it would kill him. And now, if you remember, I said that during their turn, he cannot be KO'd, but during my turn, he can. So on my turn, if I swing and they hit Jet Pistol out of life, he's dead. And that has caused me to lose the game a couple of times. So, yeah, I definitely run that because against black, it just can be a game ender. I might consider dropping this to 3, so I can up Uta to 3. But that's really about it. I really feel comfortable with this list. I might change some ratios here, but as far as the people that I'm bringing with me, this is it. All right, so that is the deck, and I'm really curious to hear what you all think. Is this a step forward from the last deck I posted? Do you think this deck's going to be competitive in this meta? Try it out for yourself. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, the mission to prove that Garp is that guy continues, guys, and more people are joining me on this journey, and it's just been so awesome. I'm working on getting a Discord put together, so hopefully I'll have that up soon. But after the tournament, I will come back and report my results. Anyhow, that's it for today. It's your boy Ghostbeard, gotta ghost the CIA agents, and I will see you in the next life.
Ghost, I'm beginning to suspect that you're not real.